It is the 9 o'clock news, local edition on Rock 93.7. Sitting down this week with a little bit of a country flair, if you will. I have Jesse Cole James in with me, and you have actually just started doing the solo out front thing.
Yes, sir. I actually started out and back in 89, 90, opening for Poison and Warrant. And then I started getting into writing songs, and I started getting into the genre of country.
You jumped from metal to country. That's
yes, sir.
Now, I'm going to say that with that said, there are some artists that kind of are on the fringe of hard rock, heavy metal that tip their hat to some country artists. So that's not unheard of completely, but it does sound like a bit of a departure.
Well, what it was, I was actually doing nothing but ballads, and that's all we did was ballads. And so it was easy. It was an easy jump to do. I mean, country music's, is nothing but actually heartache and,
See, you took the heaviness out of the heartache. Is that
exactly.
Well, you've got some songs that you have put together, and you've actually you started doing the solo thing, but you're also putting together a backing band of sorts.
Yep. And actually, the bass player that I have here right now, he's done the rock also and the country and the gospel. So it's
how many do you have in your backing band?
5. And we have.
Can you run through who they are and what they do?
Alex is the lead. He's from Nashville. We got Mitch, who is the drummer. He's actually a studio drummer from Nashville. Scotty, he plays bass. Most of the time, we'll either have a steel guitar player or it switches back and forth depending on where we're playing at. We'll have a steel or we'll go to keyboards. I
was just getting ready to say, some of your music includes keyboards. So you have somebody that flips between the two, or
well, it's just we have two different people.
Two different people, depending on where you're going. You take okay. Well, I didn't know if you had like a utility player that just covered both, or
no. We have they're each professional guys, but they're hired on when we need them. And
well, that's kind of nice.
The steel guitar player plays for Ronnie Millsap right now, so that's why it's hard to get him in there.
Did you go in this route? Did it seem like an easier route as opposed to going out and finding people to build a band, or?
Well, it's harder to. It seems like it's easier to find the musicians to actually back you in country than it was with well, back then it was very easy because everybody was doing it. And we just got lucky enough to and with the band I was with was Colt 51. I was their front man, and we got to be well known. What we could, not as famous as Poison, of course, but and we were doing a lot of covers. Then when I started getting into this and writing the songs and sending songs to Nashville and stuff, it just seemed like it was more easier for me to write.
So you started out with just a song here or there, and then it kind of progressed to where, okay, I'm really starting to feel comfortable with this whole country aspect.
Yeah.
And so you kind of built a little bit more. Now, your sound, I'm going to say, is more in the vein of classic country.
It is.
Because I say country, and people hear, oh, it's going to be kind of like a Florida Georgia Line or somebody like that, right? No, Luke Bryan. You're not even near that. No. You are more of a throwback. You're more of the classic country.
Yeah,
from, about the 70s into the 80s.
Yeah, I'm a big influence. My biggest influence is Conway Twitty. I love Conway Twitty. The way he, what he did for the music. Waylon Jennings is another one I really like. He, the way he was more of an outlaw and stuff. But I mixed it together, like those two, and that's what I want. I want to try to bring, and hopefully, the band and I can bring back traditional country.
Well, and you did that with one of your songs. Let's take a look at that special Someone Somewhere. How did that one come together?
Well, that was a friend of mine overseas in Ireland wrote that, and he asked me to, if I would do this, song to it, and I decided, look at it, and I looked at the lyrics, and it actually fit what I was wanting to do. And he says, because he wanted to know mainly what I sing about and what it's about, lost loves or, things that actually happen to people in real life.
Kind of in the traditional sense, being a little bit of a storytelling.
Exactly.
Why don't we tell that story now? It's that special Someone Somewhere on the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. It is the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7, giving you a little bit of an interview tonight with Jesse Cole James. We've heard one of your songs earlier.
Yes, sir.
We've established your roots are kind of in the traditional country. Brief flirtation.
Yeah.
I guess is probably the best way to describe that. You did a run with a sort of a metal band back around the 80s when that was the thing, and you were trying to go with that, and clearly your heart wasn't in that.
No, I love a love song. I like this. I just, everything about a love song, I just love, the way, the reason why I said that is because you melt the audience with it. You know, when you do a love song perfectly, like Conway did, and then, or like Bret Michaels did, they knew what to do with a love song, and they knew what to do with those, you know, with the crowd, with those songs. And that's what that's what I do for. And that's the only reason why I do it. I love performing, and I do it for the fans.
So you transitioned into the area of country, and when you went out and did your first stint, your first show, we'll say, as a country performer, how did that feel, knowing that you were coming up on stage and that this night was just going to be in the country vibe, not playing different?
Nervous.
But
I was nervous at first because the tempo, it changed on me. And everybody knows when you do, you know, the hair of the 80s, how it was, everything was up tempo. There was nothing really, just like the song Every Rose Has a Thorn. It still had a rocky sound to it.
So you got up there on stage, first time performing in front of the crowd. I'm going to guess it went well once you figured out your tempo.
Yeah, it went really well. I mean, after the first show, it just started coming easier to me, and it was more relaxing. And my vocals, I didn't have to worry about belting them as much as I did. I mean, I can sing for 6 hours, and my vocals will still be there, strong. So it gave me more
crowd
training.
sizes. Have they varied?
No, I mean, since I've done this, 157,000 people was the biggest I ever did, and that was in Pittsburgh. And that was when Three River Stadium was still there, and I was opening for Poison at the time. And now it's just smaller crowds, in between the fairs and this year I'll be doing the CMA Fest. So I don't know how big the crowd is there. This is my first year, but I know we'll be at the fairgrounds. They're expecting up to 50,000 the way they're saying it.
Does that bother you?
No, I love it. The more, the better. I mean, the more the crowd is, the better I can perform. And I just love the idea of the biggest. If I can have at least, I mean, I know it never happens, but if it happens, 75,000 to 100,000 people, and they're out there screaming because they love the music you're doing, man, that makes you, want to know that you're in the right business, while you're doing it.
Pre-show jitters, do you get those?
Sometimes. I still do. It don't matter how many years I've done it.
Do you, after doing it for several years, do you have a ritual to kind of bring those down?
I do. I actually loosen my vocals up in the back, behind the stage. I actually loosen my vocals singing Bee Gees. Really? Yeah. I hit the high notes. And
if you can hit the high notes, you can hit anything lower.
I still do. And that's what, I mean, I still got it. I just never perform. I don't perform as much as the stuff I used to do.
I've heard Elvis. I've heard gospel. I don't think I've heard the Bee Gees as a warm-up before. That's the first.
Yep.
So that's part of your routine. You get the jitters out of the way, and then you get up on stage, and it just goes from there.
As soon as that first song kicks off and they start playing, and it's done. It's fine. I just got to let them start playing a little bit and hear the music playing, and I just jump right out there.
Well, we're going to let the band take a break for just a moment, and we'll come back and talk about your music just a little bit more, another one of your songs, as we continue with the 9 o'clock News Local Edition on Rock 93.7. It is the 9 o'clock News Local Edition on Rock 93.7, talking this evening with Jesse Cole James and discussing the music that you've been making. You're now into the country genre, traditional. I want to clarify that because you do make that distinction that yours is more into the traditional sense, what some refer to maybe as classic country in that realm. And
with a new twist, with the updated 2015 twist, but it still has a traditional sound to it.
Marrying those two, has that been difficult?
No, actually, it was pretty easy to do. We just had to change the tempo a little bit, maybe, bring it in more to the 2015 era, but and still keep the traditional sound. So the fans who still follow the traditional sound, they recognize the traditional in it every time we do perform.
Now, you love getting out and doing the live performances. I think we've established that. Difference between the live versus heading into the studio?
I prefer the live. I love the live. I mean, I just love being out there on stage. Do
you feel like as you head into the studio, it strips you of, I don't want to say freedom so much as it just is a sense of just letting things go? Because when you head into the studio, you've got to make sure you get this right. We've got to get this take. We've got to do this. So you're on a command performance, whereas whenever you go out to do a performance live, maybe not so much requirement on you. Do you feel like that's there?
It is. I mean, because when we're out live, it's the freedom. We can do and perform the way we want to perform. And but when you go into the studio, you don't have the luxury of the people out there in front of you. All you got is just what in front. And most of the time, it's always been me. It's just me singing and doing my vocals tracks, and everything's already been done and recorded. and and you got to, and it takes too. It's just boom, all over and over and over again of the takes. Just like I did about a week ago, I actually was asked to do an appearance on the TV show Nashville, so I'll be on the May 6th episode. But other than that, it was the first time I've ever done it, and I got to realize what hearing me as an artist and what the band go through, and when we're out there performing, I thought we had it hard. They got it harder than we do. 18 hours of shooting. I was really surprised.
18 hours of shooting for 5 seconds of camera time.
Exactly. That's what it was. And it was over and over and over again. And I was like, wow, man, you guys can have this.
Yeah, I'm on the radio side of it, so I'm quite happy where I'm at. I'm right where I need to be. As someone once told me, you are perfect. You have the face for radio. So have you had other experiences like that as far as getting to do things? That's the first time.
First time on the camera like that.
Well, let's talk about one of your other songs as we go on here. You're talking about marrying the idea of some of the 2015 country standards and traditional country together. I think your new track, maybe Down Home Boy, has that connotation of sounding like something that's kind of fits in with the current, but really also kind of a throwback.
Well, the way it's on the track on the CD is different than what we do when we perform live. We perform live, we make it into a more of a train sound. Like the Johnny Cash did and stuff like that. We do that live that way. The way you hear it on air, I love the way it's been done. I tried to, when we went to record this, I was trying to think of more of blending it to like a Jason Aldean kind of mix, or, to where it had that tempo. Still take it back a notch a couple years with the vocals, not change it much at all. But we did change, when we do play live, we give it more of a train sound because it sounds better live that way.
Well, let's give this version a listen, shall we? It's Down Home Boy. It's Jesse Cole James on the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. It is the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7, talking this week with Jesse Cole James and discussing your music now, but it didn't start out the way it is now. I think we established that you were in a band in the 80s. You did the hair thing. Is that how you started in music?
No, I actually started in a Temptations band.
Doing some Temptations classics.
Yeah, I was the higher vocals, the higher harmonies of it. Actually recorded an album of the 50s, 60s rock. More like your Tommy Rowe, Dizzy especially, Bobby Darin.
So you kind of went out with the earlier sound and then kind of progressed from there and straight up. And now we're back into something that we're more comfortable with. I think you've, in your bio, you've said that some of your roots really lay there. Some of your heroes, like Waylon, really inspire you to do what you're doing. So when you're sitting down to write a song and you're like, okay, I want it to be in that vein, is there that moment where you're like, okay, that's too close. That's a little too much like them, or that sounds like it's maybe not so much in that vein, but just simply swiping from them?
Well, when I'm writing, and it seems like I'm always writing a ballad, I have a hard time writing the up tempos, but I'm always coming out with ballads like crazy. And it's always, when I'm writing, I always think about how the song would, how would it sound in front of an audience? How would they take it? So I hum it, and then I sing, and sing it to myself, and I like try to put, and see how it'll go, and then find the, the tempo of it. But then when I'm, performing, I always want to perform either like Conway did or like George Jones did, because they cared more about their music and the words, what the words meant, instead of all the lights and all the smoke.
So when it's being written, you really don't put a perspective of in this style or that style. It's more of what comes out of you. That's how it turns out. And then you put a spin on it later. Yeah. So you don't really confuse the two. And you've gotten some songs written now, and we've got a few of them put together. How many songs do you have written?
Thousands, but I've only done a few, ready for the album. But I got enough I got a great friend of mine who's a writer of some of these songs. He lives in Georgia, and actually Brennan, Georgia, and Lewis Brown. He's an excellent writer, very talented man. He's up in his 80s, but I'm one of those types that likes to get the writer's recognition, and the reason is because they're behind the scenes and nobody knows about them. Right. And I want to use the album and the next album to push these writers so they can get recognized.
Now, to get your music recognized, you've gone online. I'm sure you've got a presence there.
I do.
Tell them where they can go.
Online at Reverb Nation, you can see the page on there, and it's Jimmy James and the New Breed Band, and they can find me on Reverb. And I also got a Facebook page under Jesse Cole James, and then we got with the music and stuff, and it mixes together.
So basically, head to Reverb Nation. It's got links to all those.
But it's got all the songs on there,
yeah.
and it links you to
Facebook and a few others. So it's a nice central page to go to. So that's your online presence. Plans to get back in and record more music is on the way, and some dates coming up. And of course, look for you on Nashville.
Yeah,
May 6th. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, we're to be doing CMA Fest.
And CMA Fest. Can't forget that.
CMA Fest. We'll be at the week of June 11th to the 15th, I believe it is. And Doug Stone's going to be there, Jamie O'Neill, and let's see, some other artists from the 80s and 90s.
So as you get closer, that'll be up on your webpage too.
Yeah, so. And I'm also going to be hitting, and a couple of us, especially, the bass player is going to be there. We're going to hit some of the Walmarts and doing a CD signing.
All right.
Because we got a CD coming out in June in Walmart.
Name of it is?
It's actually, we got a Jesse Cole James and Newbury band. It's a self-titled album. And then also Down Home Boy is going to be on a CD for the CMA Fest artist.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah,
on the compilation disc.
Yep.
Nice, very nice. All right, well, cool. All right, well, I'm going to thank you for coming in and talking with us and getting to know a little bit about your music.
It's an honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jesse. This has been the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7.